one.
Covers, wasting no time.
This could be it. Stephanie Vaquer just shut all her haters up.
At first glance, there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of change compared to 2K24, which shouldn't surprise anyone at this point. When looking at the entrances, it all seems nearly identical to last year. Arenas look really good, although the crowds are in need of an update, especially in terms of animation and presentation. While they're all confidently raising the ones for the 1-2 chief, the animation for the yeeters is completely missing the mark. Not only are they incredibly out of sync, it's also the completely wrong animation. This is not the yeet animation it's supposed to be. It's the "we're not worthy" animation, where the characters are bowing from the hip, instead of just moving the arms. This looked ridiculous last year, and should come as no surprise, it remained the same. Camera effects during entrances are still not present this year, so no depth of field entrance for Damian Priest, or, shocker, no augmented opening for Cody Rhodes. Some character models have improved, although Cody still looks kinda plasticky, but is improved from 2K24. I said it looked ugly then, yet people were super impressed by the model. 2K Visual Concepts thought it needed improvement as well. Just saying. Anyway, some models look great, others not so much. Young Undertaker is still the old man render with some smoothing, and this goes for a few other legends as well. Visual Concept doesn't realize people's faces tend to change when aging, so a young Triple H or HBK does look different than the current one. I know that takes time to model, but do it right once and you'll be set for a decade without me complaining about it every year. And please, for the love of God, start over with RVD. This is utter garbage. Current superstars are hit and miss as well. Some look great, but others they can't seem to get right. Ilya Dragunov is still a horrible model. Newcomer Muscle Muffin also has a horrible model debut. Sol Ruka is ridiculously tanned, as is Tiffany Stratton, which is a fumble as well. And while they have drastically improved upon my boy Brutus's face, his body is still the same as last year's, which looks freaking stupid. I mean, what is this physique? The guy is a big boy. This is whoever the hell it's supposed to be. A lot of bodies are inaccurate as a matter of fact, and nowhere near the actual physiques. Braun Breaker is a lot beefier in real life. Nia Jax has lost a lot of weight in the game. Cora Jade hasn't seen any improvements either. And Bayley's model is from, 2016? Jacob Fatu and Soyo Sikoa are also slimmer than on television. Some of the newer wrestlers' faces also have a more stylized approach, which is somewhat of a contrast with the models of previous years. Not sure whether I like it or not, but I assume this is the new art style going forward. The thing is, I want the wrestlers on screen to resemble the ones on television, whether they're still employed or not. 2K and Visual Concept don't know the wrestlers are getting released, so this is not an excuse. For some reason, they make people slimmer when they should be heavier, but they also tone down the beefiness of the more muscular wrestlers. It's an odd design choice to say the least.
Henry! One of the most destructive big men ever. Henry has performed incredible feats of strength.
The attires and gimmicks are ridiculously out of date as well. Shotzi still has the same short spiky hair that was already outdated last year. Shinsuke still has the same outfit and song, despite his new look from November. It's hard to keep up with Charlotte's plastic surgery, so you'll get a pass from me this time. Fallon Henley, however, has been a heel since last April, so there's no excuse for that one. Raquel returned as a heel in October, but is still a smiling psychopath in this game. Oh, and overalls are stupid this year as well. They don't care about giving accurate overalls, so I'm not gonna bother with discussing them either. Just know they're shit. Okay, enough complaining about visuals and numbers. Gameplay itself has seen some changes. Unfortunately, not the god-awful breaker system. You still have to guess which button the opponent presses during combos and grappling holds. So getting good is still not an option this year. And even if you have that must be nice luck, some moves still don't even have a reversal coded into them, or even a correct button prompt. Against players this is annoying, but it's at least an equal playing field. The CPU doesn't give a damn about any of that, and just counters when it feels like it. The random "let's put in a dodge movement so it looks like a fighting game" mechanic is still in, but move to holding the reversal button. So if you sometimes make a weird evasive maneuver, you know what. For some reason they still haven't fixed the targeting in this game, which has been a problem since, well, at least 2K22. The targeting itself is fine, but once you're in a move, whether it be on the receiving end or executing the move yourself, you cannot focus on another opponent. This is something that is essential in multi-person matches, as you need to switch between opponents quickly, as they're oftentimes waiting to beat the crap out of you. Why this is still an issue? No one knows. The lockup is new this year, making its return from 2K19. Here you can, shocker, lock up and choose from a few options like driving them to a corner or the ropes, switch holds, or just attack. It's a nice addition that adds to the realism, and it doesn't show up that often, and only during the beginning when wrestlers perform a grapple at the same time, and only in one-on-one matches, which makes sense. Although it could still be in a regular tag match with extra options like tagging in the corner, getting an early head start. Submissions are different as well, and it's another thing they brought back from previous years. Hold the red section over the blue one and keep it there long enough to submit. It's very disorienting, as you use the triggers on the controller to move the segment around the circle. This was something used in UFC games in the past, and it's always been shit, especially since the CPU doesn't have this orientation issue. So get ready for quick submissions on harder difficulties. I'm not a fan of this myself, as it focuses your attention completely on the mechanic instead of the action on screen. Luckily you can choose to change this in the menu settings. I'm old school and prefer some classic button bashing anyway, which they added in the ladder match. Kind of. You need to go through 3 rounds of correct button presses, and I'm told you can even win if you're hanging from the item in the air. Nice touch. Van Hellington tip. Save up your finishers, as every finisher slot can be used to move up 1 round, making the whole thing a hell of a lot quicker. Which will come in handy later on in this review. Overall, it's a nice addition and better than the previous mechanic. And yes, the same mechanic was in AEW Fight Forever, but I don't blame you if you didn't know that, because nobody played it. Regrettably, I might add. Keeping in line with adding in things that shouldn't have been removed in the first place, jumping from barricades. It's back. Yay! At least you can walk on the side this time. Speaking of jumping, you can also do finishers off ladders in high spots. Yes, this has ridiculously been absent for years, but there are many buffs in the game, all of them bad. For some reason, you cannot do finishers off ladders through tables. Oh well, gotta keep something to add in the next game. Something else that was missing over a decade: visual body damage. You can now see the welts and bruises during a match. This was introduced in SmackDown vs. Raw 2010 and was a great visual touch back then. It still is now, but I'd like it toned down a bit. Don't get me wrong, it looks great, but I would prefer it if it took a little longer to see the damage. The type of damage doesn't make sense at times either.
And this is going to cause so much agony, so much stress on the neck.
This is something that can put you to sleep in a hurry.
Reverse the leverage and into a pin.
Oh man, this could really come back to bite him in the end.
Do a couple of power bombs and the damage looked like it was done with a dozen kendo stick shots. Every match has everyone into a lobster-like state, whether it's a 5-minute match or a 20-minute banger. If you already see the max state of damage after a short match, it diminishes the beatdowns considerably. Same thing with the blood. It's still almost guaranteed to bust somebody open, so it stops feeling special. Less is more in my opinion. I know a lot of people like it this way, but these are just my 2 cents. And to end with things being added again after 16 years, and was also in Fight Forever, intergender wrestling. Men can once again duke it out with the women. Downside to this realism is that most women can't pick up the majority of the men, which severely limits their moveset, as they are then defaulted to the no lifting moveset, which is shit by default. You can switch the weight detection in the menu from simulation to arcade to circumvent this issue though. Which brings me to the giant weight class, which has limited movement but has an extra bar of health that functions as armor, that prevents you from being knocked down by heavy strikes. You might recognize the bar from the armor you could get in my faction from last year, which I'll discuss later on. One entirely new thing they added this year, if you don't count the story modes from the SmackDown vs. Raw series, is the third person cam. It's in the Island portion of the game, and they apply this to the regular matches as well. Personally, it made me quite nauseous at first, but after getting used to it, I started to like it. It does give a whole new viewpoint to the game, which gives it a fresh feeling, which is desperately needed to be honest. There are a few downsides to this, but these will be discussed later on, so stay tuned. When it comes to new matches, the Underground match is something we weren't expecting. It's a bit buggy sometimes, and this mostly applies to the NPCs on the side, that don't do much apart from catching you, sometimes. And the fact that those NPCs disappear during the post-match replay.
Kick to the body.
And the official calls it. Clearly they cannot fight any longer.
Despite these nitpicks, there are some fun touches that are unavailable in other matches, such as running grapples off the apron, which is cool, and Irish whipping people against the ring post, which has a pretty cool animation.
Watch out!
That's going to cost them the match.
For some reason, the default setting has DQs on, so for a more accurate experience, set these off in the customized match portion. It's an NXT match, so they'll obviously get things wrong. Oh, and while we're on the subject of NXT, the NXT arena is still woefully inaccurate, with it being way too big for what it actually is. This has been bothering me for a decade, but they really don't seem to care. Let's move on. The new Bloodline Rules match is basically Extreme Rules with 3 run-ins for each side. I do welcome new matches, and this is a nice addition. At first I was kinda confused why I couldn't get my teammate to run in. Turns out you have to use one of your paybacks first and then you get the option. It's a bit weird, but fine once you're aware of this. The match is chaotic and honestly a lot of fun.
Looks like we got someone intercepting any forms of interference.
Making his presence known, that Claymore connects. We are seeing the will to win from these men. Not an ounce of quit in them.
The struggle to gain power has switched hands multiple times. It's been Nakamura, huge shots up, and on the line for Punk.
There's 2. And Shinsuke.
Your winner and the new head of the table, the team of Shinsuke Nakamura, Roman Reigns, Drew McIntyre, and Solo Sikoa.
It was a hard...
What is a bit weird is that the winner is declared the new head of the table, which does line up with the first Netflix episode Bloodline match. However, for those of you that have watched last year's WrestleMania, you might remember that it was for the title of champion, not the leader of a group of Samoans. I don't see myself playing these a whole lot, but it's nice to play with a friend as the total bedlam that is used is a lot of fun. All other matches have received little to no extra care at first glance. Elimination Chamber, Hell in a Cell, Steel Cage and War Games are still identical. Oh, Special Referee now has a lot more matches to officiate, and dear lord, would I have been pissed if they botched that one. I still don't see any reactions from opponents thrown on other objects, which I was hoping they would, as the throwing of weapons was arguably the biggest addition last year, so I guess we'll have to wait another year for this. If we're lucky, that is. Slight correction, in one of the latest patches they did add some physics to the steps, but it's nowhere what it used to be 16 years ago. I keep hoping they add some sort of physical awareness in, and with a slight glimmer of hope that maybe this year they would finally... Never mind. Maybe next year. They did add some new grapple moves with weapons, which is always welcomed. Most effort went into the one that represents how I feel when making reviews for this franchise.
Oh, ouch! This is an unwieldy attack from Braun.
Where the backstage brawl from the past few years was just the same lifeless area, this year they've expanded with 2 new lifeless areas. Offline, they're still all 1v1 experiences, with the option of having CPU opponents added to the mix. They still can't figure out how to zoom the camera all the way out, especially since none of these environments are that visually impressive. While I was celebrating my birthday on the week of launch, I had to explain to 6 other people why they couldn't join in this match, but could in an arena with thousands of moving fans. So yeah, no excuse. I mean, they figured it out on the PS2, which made them ultimate party brawlers. 2K VC just want you to have online parties, I guess. I do hope they bring this back someday. Online or offline, they'll still get bored, as none of the stages have any interaction. Yes, you can throw people off a scaffold onto glass, or off the SmackDown fist, or into a wall, but that's it. Online with 8 people seems like a fun, chaotic experience, but offline, it's still a play it once, never bother again type match. Speaking of which, Universe mode has been lackluster for several years, plagued with bugs and minimal updates. There have been some improvements when browsing through the menus. You can set multiple shows on the same day, even the ability to have a PLE on every day of the week. So having a 2-day WrestleMania, SummerSlam or Royal Rumble is possible now. A nice addition is the King of the Ring tournament. A bit late, but still nice to have. You can also move shows to another day without having to do everything all over again. The menu is also a lot more sleek, showing everything on the same page, so a lot of quality of life improvements. Despite these updates and improvements, there's just nothing there to keep me engaged with the mode. I was bored out of my mind after a couple of hours the past few years, and nothing they added or corrected has changed that. I still think creative story integration would do wonders, but I don't see that happening for a long time, if at all ever. Lastly, I checked the much advertised promos, and they were underwhelming.
Shawn Spears heads down the ramp, ready to speak his mind.
Mike in hand. What is he scheming here?
And he is fired up here.
Yeah, this is exactly the reaction he wanted.
Oh, what? When did he get here?
I guess he's got a problem with what's been said here. Wouldn't you? Wonder what his take is on this situation. Wonder what his take is on this situation.
Will it happen? Will the challenge be accepted?
After he talked such a big game, a match has to be imminent.
He doesn't want a match. He wants a brawl. Yup, and it's happening right now.
The ruthless, cunning Shawn Spears looking to do some serious damage here in this one.
Shawn Spears is everything a grizzled vet should be.
No spoken dialogue, which is unsurprising and not a deal breaker per se. But disappointingly, there are no text boxes either. Just some gums flapping and the commentators expressing the intentions of the speaker. This brings me to a big disappointment when it comes to presentation. The commentary team is still Corey, Cole and Byron. Cole and Corey I get, but Wade, Vic and Booker need to be in it. Having Byron there is just lazy at this point, as he hasn't done commentary in many years now. Nothing against Byron, by the way, get that bag bruh, but I want a realistic depiction of the products, and we ain't getting it. Still no accurate Trick Williams intro, and Stephanie Facquet, who was just in one of the DLC packs, had to perform the moves without hearing this little nugget of entertainment.
Oh, we gon' do it.
Oh, no.
We gon' do it.
Oh, go!
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh, you started to sweat through your suit. I can see the streaks.
Now that we're talking about audio, the Shinsuke Sing-Along, or Shing-Along, as I just called it, is just as god-awful as it was in 2018.
The following is scheduled for one fall and will be contested under Bloodline rules. Making his way to the ring from Kyoto, Japan, weighing in at 220 pounds, the WWE.
The funny part is, if they just updated his intro, song and attire, they could have avoided it completely. But no, zero care is once again on display this year. Luckily, Community Creations is the place to go for updated attires, since VC won't bother with those. Creation mode is nearly identical, and by nearly, I mean completely. I haven't noticed anything new in any of the modes. You can still create a wrestler, dabble in making arenas, shows have zero new additions, and create an entrance has been severely limited. How so, you ask? Well, while you can have the different animations during every entrance, being on the stage, the ramp, how you enter the ring and your trademark movements in the ring, these are basically useless if you plan to use this with the new third-person camera. The switches between these are so jarring, you'd better stick with either the templates or just forgo the third-person camera altogether. There are still no augmented visuals like the Cody entrance, but hey, who's noticing, right? I'm pretty sure it wouldn't cost much to apply these, but spending money is not where the focus is with this game. Which brings me to the next mode in the game. You may think it appears to be mostly the same, and it is. It's still a good place to lose a lot of money for little return. Buy cards to use in the mode and earn or buy persona cards that can be used in every mode outside of it. It's as egregious as it ever was. You still can't use the cards you bought or earned last year and have to start over from scratch. VC and tokens are earned slowly, and to participate in a lot of events you need certain cards. You do get a lot of packs from completing these events, but rarely do you get a card that makes you giddy with excitement. And some of the best cards are earned from doing the My Rise or Showcase modes. Or of course, in the many packs you can buy with real money. There are still the Emerald cards that you can level up by performing a set amount of actions, but apart from the two I got when first booting it up, I've yet to encounter any new ones. The faction wars are the same as last year, with a little more variety instead of relying on ladder matches this time. All in all, if you ever have difficulty in figuring out what to do or who to face, jump in here and have a few matches. But don't spend a dime, it's not worth it in my opinion. You still can't face off against other players' teams in a CPU fashion. You can play against other people, but why would you bother with this? Especially if other players in this mode that play online have probably purchased a few packs to get some of the better cards to play against you. While we're on the topic of money grubbing, this year's breakthrough marketing nonsense is based on this particular mode, the Island. In my time there I encountered a lot of low effort chat boxes, lag, and stores, lots of stores. While it is promised that all the VC you earn throughout the game in every mode can be spent in the Island mode, They made the item so ludicrously expensive that some people might want to consider spending real money to circumvent the endless grinding. I'd reconsider considering that, because when looking at the VC you can buy in the store, a shirt worth 18,000 VC is roughly $6 in real money. Especially when a normal match nets you roughly 150 VC. 100 matches for some Jordans seems excessive. They do unlock for every other mode in the game though, but still. I think it's stupid to have hairstyles locked behind this mode, but hey, that's just me. Worth noting that if you upload a character in community creations, it is impossible to do so if they have any official licensed gear on them, which is quite stupid. You know, one option would have been to make these downloads impossible to edit after downloading them, but I'm sure there are some other shenanigans going on. Also worth noting that your stat increases also cost VC, further pushing you towards a monetary shortcut. A few paybacks that are only obtainable in this mode also cost VC after gaining a certain level, so you are encouraged to keep playing, or hopefully paying. The island itself looks nice-ish though, with a lot of Easter eggs. It's not particularly big, but a map or a fast travel would have been nice. Although that way I would have missed out on checking several stores. And by the way, this mode is locked to current gen only. So why the skybox is literally the most low-res skybox I've seen since the PSP is anyone's guess. The visuals here are incredibly outdated, especially since this is a current gen exclusive mode. The stories told are extremely low effort and remind me a lot of the DLC stories in 2K20, which were also incredibly low tier production value. This mode will definitely become a recurring mode in every game moving forward, so get used to it. I don't know if they'll keep using this island with minimal updates or if they'll start from scratch, but since this is the breakthrough year for the franchise, expect even more egregious practices in the future. They do have some cool arenas in here, which they should make accessible in Exhibition. It again gives some 2K20 vibes, which was actually a fun game, despite the sorry state it was in. The island mode is frankly underwhelming. You'll have fun for about 30 minutes, and then you'll wonder why you're playing it in the first place. The rewards are nothing worth obtaining, and really no one cares if you have paid for a Nike t-shirt if they battle you online. They'll probably just think of you as stupid enough for spending real money. Maybe some of you have had a wonderful time climbing up the ranks, but it just wasn't for me.
Liv won't come back from that.
Makes the cover. And that'll finally do it. What a victory.
Playing matches in Showcase mode is slightly altered this year. Gone is the pretentiously called slingshot tech, so no more archival footage but straight up animated cutscenes. Rare W in my book. Despite this improvement that everyone was focused on, the mode is still for all intents and purposes exactly the same.
Ring!
Oh my gosh!
The Great One face to face with the Reaper at WrestleMania.
Undertaker with the Rock! Choke slam! The Undertaker's back in WrestleMania!
Unreal!
Don't get fooled by the opening match of WrestleMania 40 with the cool cutscenes and first-person perspectives, thinking every match will get this treatment. As a matter of fact, it is the only match to get this care and attention. All the other matches have the exact same structure as previous years, minus the archival footage. Oh wait, they did add something new to add to the longevity. Objective timers. Just what we all wanted.
And trust me when I say that nobody watching ever wanted that!
While the objective descriptions were shortened last year in comparison to 2K23, this year they are made longer again for some reason. Van Hellington tip: once you complete an objective, either knock the opponent down to give you time to read, or immediately press the pause button after completing an objective, so you can read the new objective in peace. without the pressure of a potential timer. And most of you have already heard of the dreaded Tamina Money in the Bank match. And is it as bad as they say? Well, yes, it fucking sucks. Crappy timed objectives and the match itself are annoying as all hell. Winning it is also a pain. But there is a way to make it a lot easier, because, Van Hellington tip, during the match, like I said earlier in the video, keep saving up your finishers and resist the urge to use them. Once there is that brief moment where everyone, or at least most of them, are down, climb up, if the game allows you to pick up the ladder that is, grab the briefcase and use every finisher you have to skip the rounds and grab it almost immediately. I'm sure they'll mention this garbage match in the future as a test of strength, but go fuck yourself. While the lack of archival footage is a plus, as it does a better job of keeping you in the experience, some animations are noticeably shoddy. While Jey Uso wasn't really locked in tight in the Kendo prison in real life, in-game it looks incredibly stupid, thus, ironically, removing me entirely from the experience. Also annoying is the length of some of these animations. For instance, this cutscene took 2.5 minutes. You'd almost wish they'd switch back to the slingshot tech. Damned if you do, damned if you don't, I guess. After a few of the showcase matches, you get these dream matches, these what-if matchups. These sound cool and reminded me a little of the All-Stars matchups. But despite an exciting intro from Paul Heyman, these matches are drawn out and not at all interesting, with 0 cutscenes to go with them. Not only that, but they're all in the same Raw arena from January 6th. Cool premise, lazy execution. There is a cool arena at the end of the road though, but nothing Community Creations couldn't fix. Remember the third-person camera option? It's obvious they added this later in the development process, because I thought it would be fun to play some of these matches from that perspective. Funnily enough, this option cannot be toggled through the presentation menu. So if you want this, you need to turn it on the main menu, load up Showcase, and then it will be applied in this mode. If you value a one and done run, don't do this, as some matches don't benefit from this perspective. Curious to see what they're cooking up next year, because they must be running out of ideas right now. Maybe a Nepo Baby showcase, or the Undertaker showcase perhaps. Besides the information provided by the wise man being very interesting and informative for the uninitiated, it will remain a one and done mode. Go play it on easy though, there's no point in doing it on any difficulty higher than that.
Big uppercut rocks the jaw of Carmelo Hayes, ripped out of the corner.
Looking to put him away, and now
What?
Trick Williams up on the apron, causing a distraction.
Trick paying dividends. Ooh. First 48. And that could be the turning point for the North American champion.
Oh, Samoa drop by Sikoa, cover now for the win. Hayes kicks it too.
And Williams once again on the apron. You can see how concerned Trick Williams is that Carmelo Hayes' championship hopes, might be fading away. Super kick drops Williams. Hayes picked out of the sky.
Spinning solo.
Is that it for Carmelo Hayes? Trick is out. Carmelo is dazed. Here's your chance, Solo. Winding up. There's a Samoan spike. Cover. Are we headed towards a title change? What the? Sikoa is the new champion.
I of course dove into my GM, which was my favorite mode of last year. This too has some improvements, but my immediate response was disappointment. Venues upgrades work a bit differently this year. Instead of having to spend money each week on better equipment, bigger venues and pyros, they are a one-time upgrade that you pay for once you unlock them. While this is nice gameplay wise, it doesn't really make any sense, as it seems more realistic to spend money each week for each aspect. It does leave more room and money to manage superstars and the rivalries. Perhaps there should be a pro difficulty where you must also manage the money for these venues. It would be funny if you could also set the ticket prices and see how far you could take it before attendance starts rapidly dropping. Not sure if TKO would allow that to be implemented though. And by the way, starting in a school makes no sense either, unless you create a new company, that is. Other than that, still no 6-man tag matches or factions. So getting all members of a stable together has no added benefit, and booking an Elimination Chamber, War Games or Royal Rumble is still impossible. Which is dumb. What's also dumb is that even though you can finally play it online with a friend, you can't watch simulated matches during these sessions. So while a cross-brand PLE main event seems like a cool moment, it's kinda ruined when you can't watch your champions square off. Besides superstars being able to level up, there is not one single spin of creativity in here. Even something as simple as wrestlers receiving fines for backstage misconduct or injuring somebody, or getting arrested and having to pay money to bail them out so they can still appear on the card. Nothing. Don't get me wrong, it's still a fun mode, but it seems like they're either purposefully holding this mode back, or they think they've reached the ceiling with this one. Because of this, you can't escape the feeling of déjà vu, which certainly applies to the final mode we'll be discussing. I've had a lot of complaints about the past few iterations of My Rise mode, the story mode of the franchise. The question on everyone's mind is surely it's better than the last couple of years. Yes.
And don't call me Shirley.
A big focus this year is replayability, and to some extent it's actually true. The story is about NXT alumni taking over the entire WWE brand, with a few twists and turns along the way. During the story, you can make certain decisions that affect the road you'll be taking. Starting off with a female character on a certain show gives you different cutscenes later in the story, and introduces another playable character of a different gender down the line. Your past relationship with that character gives a few other dialogues, other than that it doesn't change a whole lot. The mode is a lot shorter because of this, but because it has some replay value in the way of unlocking things, this can be forgiven. The hub is back, where you can choose who to talk to for a mission, but there are significantly less stories than before, and only really to further the main story. A lot of matches still boil down to beat some sense into this specific opponent and Irish whip them in the corner, followed by a cutscene. Luckily, there are a few matches that can be won in a normal fashion. There are a few backstage matches as well, and besides them being boring as fuck, they still end without any form of satisfaction. Bam! Continue screen. Good stuff.
It's not casual attire that we're forcing you to wear. Of course, that is an option. There is a default casual attire if you don't want to make your own. But, you know, we've heard people say, hey, why am I wearing the same clothes for 4 years of a My Rise story? Well, now you don't have to. You can set your own casual attire.
And it's cheaper than doing laundry.
They were also really proud you could finally change your cutscene attire. And to that I say, go to hell. I'm not giving them props or kudos for something that should have been in the game 10 years ago. Remember last year's video when I said 2K VC thinks they're fan favorites in their eyes? What also pulls me out of the experience, and this is starting to get a little personal, is the 2K created characters that I'm sure they think are fan favorites, but no one would miss.
Oh, Troy Simpkin's back.
We're here in the hub. If you've played My Rise before, you recognize this setup. Talking to one of our fan favorites,
Hello there.
WWE producer Troy Simpkin.
I'm Troy Simpkin, seasoned and esteemed WWE producer.
Well, there you go. There's less emphasis on the 2K-verse characters this time around though, which I applaud. But they always manage to sneak them in somehow. At least they're not on the main roster, which was one of my biggest critiques from previous years. Apart from, of course, this dude, that you can talk to for matches that ups your stats. Lip syncing is better this year, but the unrealistic animatronic animations are still present.
Alba! You are just who I've been looking for.
It's a hilarious new arrival. How wonderful.
It is! I have an incredible idea to stop these mutiny attacks once and for all.
Let's have it then. How will we stop Mutiny's insurrection?
Magic. You and Isla Dawn cursed the tag titles. You take opponents out of your path with supernatural forces. You just need to turn that power against Mutiny.
What exactly is it that you expect us to do?
You could turn the Mutiny into some big fat toads.
What are you doing?
You could send them on a goose chase down a long, dark road.
Is this a song of some kind?
You could curse them, you could vex them, then together you can hex them!
Stop! Enough!
These are especially noticeable in the dialogue scenes, like shown with Lipless over here. The more important cutscenes have a lot more production value, but these are too few.
Uh-oh. Batten down the hatches. L5! Thunderous!
D'Angelo down, and he might be
Shoulder
out.
down. This is more than a win. The #1 draft pick can now move on and focus on bigger goals.
Good riddance to Tony D'Angelo and whatever this was all about.
Now what? Is that Charlie Dempsey?
What the hell is going on? That's certainly Gigi Dolan. Trick Williams from behind. What is happening?
And now Tony D'Angelo's recovered and joining the NXT champion. Clearly D'Angelo wasn't acting alone in all of this.
Yeah, I'm starting to see a common theme here, guys. We got to get some help out here.
This is a full-on invasion.
And the invaders are all from NXT.
We need help back there, right now.
Adam Pearce is trying to intervene.
Nikita Lyons with a chair.
And Pierce goes down too.
The NXT Unity Tag Champions have taken out CM Punk.
And Charlotte gets nailed too.
This is insane.
Please, somebody, anybody, do something.
We are under siege.
It's Bayley and Kevin Owens.
Finally.
You can't just come in here and do this without repercussions.
What the?
Bayley and KO are part of this? Are you serious?
What are we witnessing?
If you couldn't tell, this is a mutiny. Current and former members of NXT have united under one cause. We will no longer stand by and be treated like third-class citizens.
Members of the board, do we have your attention?
We will not stop until NXT is the one and only brand left standing in WWE.
Most of the story is again told through your phone. Something that pisses me off to no end is the lack of care and visual fidelity in this mode. This game can look great during regular matches, but every location in this mode is so 2 generations ago. Even attires look like absolute shit, with zero care. For instance, not only does clothing look subpar in every facet of the imagination, but look at Drew here. His chest is clipping through the jacket, and he appears many times like this throughout the story mode. No one bothered to either look at it or even fix it. Seth Rollins' outfit is also suffering from low textures, as is all the other clothing in the game. This has been a point of critique for 10 years, but sadly, it's still an issue today.
It's going to take more than simple name calling.
Okay. Remember when Punk had a midlife crisis and became a failed MMA fighter?
Yep. Not his finest hour.
Nope. And you know he just lies awake at night, stewing in his failure.
Voice acting is hit and miss. While the aforementioned Drew is very passionate about his hatred towards Timu Negan, to which I can relate, Jade Cargill's delivery is very stilted.
Aldis told me that you and your partner are low-key recruiting for our Survivor Series team?
Yes, and I am pleased to know you're interested.
Excuse me?
I jumped the gun because I'm hoping you'll ask to be on the team. We still have to finalize who we're going with, but you'd be a huge get for our side.
Funny. CM Punk pretty much said the same exact thing.
Obviously her first time voice acting, but you could have done more than one take. The director was probably kissing all their asses so much they all left thinking they would receive a BAFTA for their work. On the subject of voice acting, while the VO for the playable characters is certainly serviceable, I would still prefer either multiple options or sliders to adjust the tone of the voice. Right now, every playthrough has the same voices. Having the option to go up or lower the tone would make a huge difference. But I've been clamoring for this for a few years now, and it doesn't seem like it will ever happen. Besides the focus on one of my least favorite people in the world, it is an entertaining story. Personally, I would like a story mode that's a little less epic for once. It's also history making, Infinity War type stuff that's just really hard to get impressed by these days. I would like to just have a few well-told stories that increases replayability. Think back of Shut Your Mouth, where you can go to the GM to go for a specific title, or make a tag team, ask for a manager, anything, and go from there. If I make a wrestler that has his goals on being the best Intercontinental Champ ever, let me have a series of stories that focuses on that. Never gonna happen, but a man can still dream. Even SmackDown vs. Raw 2007 had a lot of different stories depending on the brand you were on, and you'd discover more stories with multiple playthroughs. I might need to do a video on that one as well. All in all, fun mode, good unlockables, one being a dope Stone Cold entrance, but production value needs to be upped considerably.
Is she floating? This is witchcraft!
Well, that spell didn't turn out too well.
So, 2K25. Is it the breakthrough title that they promise? Well, for the shareholders it probably is. In all honesty, they added some new matches and improved upon one existing one, this being special referee. The lockup mechanic and the added third-person camera, while needing a little more refinement in the future, are welcome additions. Targeting is still an issue, and the breaker system still sucks ass and remains one of the biggest hurdles for me to enjoy this game. The breakthrough marketing is solely based on the inclusion of the Island mode, and is the biggest addition this year. Granted, it does provide you with just more stuff to do, and reading through stories can give you an inner smile or chuckle, but physically you'll remain unaffected.
Not a giggle, not a chuckle, not a tee-hee. Never went ha. Smirk? Maybe.
The game still has a lot of bugs, but luckily I haven't seen many of those. I had a few, sure, but other people were a lot more unfortunate than I was.
Buckle up, ladies and gentlemen, because we are in for another amazing night of action here on Raw.
I don't know what more this superstar can do to put him away.
Into the pin.
Is that enough?
And he stops the count.
Ouch.
Super kick! Connor flattened.
Hold on a second. He might be finding a submission hold here.
It's locked in, the cross-face chicken wing. Just excruciating. Yes, Charlie Dempsey wins it.
Round we go and into the side slam. Got by Ripley, followed by Riptide. Wow, Ripley got her.
2. It's all over. Rhea Ripley gets it done.
Online also seems to have a lot of issues as well, but to be honest I haven't bothered with that for a few years now, as I have zero faith it's done well this time. Now, repetition is something that affects every type of game, be it shooters, fighting games, racers or wrestling games. But this year it feels even more obvious. While wrestling games in the 360 PS3 era have the same critique, These past 11 years have been the worst of them all, with this one reaching its highest crescendo. Every mode I went to had the same old shit vibe. But the Van Hellington, whatever could they do to remedy this predicament? Well, Francois, Gaston, maybe I was hoping for more because of the breakthrough promise. Or maybe I should have known better. You want breakthrough? Start adding features that incorporates user interaction that's not solely based on monetary transactions. Bring back the thing people wanted 15 years ago and create a story. Make it so people can download these stories and apply them to universe mode. So there's actually a point in booting up that mode in the first place. Hell, make a career mode that's filled with these stories and see how much positive interactions you'll get with the fanbase. I also need more interactions in backstage areas, explosions, drivable vehicles, falling scaffolding, background music during these matches, anything to remove the monotonous nature of the state it is in right now. You might call these excessive or over the top, but that's just purposefully mispronouncing the word fun. Want more breakthrough? Add in physics for falling wrestlers instead of the canned animations. Single low-budget developers are creating these. Why can't you? At least make some animations for people falling on objects like they did in SVR 2010. 2010. That's 15 years ago. You could aim the direction of grappling moves a lot better back then as well. Make better hair physics. And I know you said these are held back because of development on older systems. If so, why does the Einot look like it was created a generation before that? Also, give finishers a cool visual effect like they used to. In the 360 era, hell, even the PS2 GameCube era, I was excited to see what kind of visual effects they would give the finishers. I'd even base my choice of finisher on that effect. Now, it's just a camera shot, if you're lucky. It seems like they're doing everything to make it as non-appealing and extremely simulation-based as possible. Newsflash, it's a wrestling game, not UFC. Ironically, even those games have better effects for finishing a fight. Imagine that. I give it a 7, and I'm being very generous. The problem with this franchise now is they've reached a point where they can have the biggest monetary gains with the lowest effort put into it. That's not to say that the developers don't put any effort into it, but the goals are severely lowered. With AEW Fight Forever releasing as somewhat of a dud, 2K has become even more complacent. Taking into the consideration that the new generation of consoles will likely be in 2027, taking any advantage of the hardware will likely occur with 2K29 at the earliest. So if you like the current state the franchise is in, you're settled for years. If you're not, like me, well, shit. I know 2K wants money, and I'm sure they'll get it. My advice to you is, if you haven't bought it already, buy it at a discount. It's on discount quite often, so don't be a sucker. Especially with the DLC debacle this year, with a celebrity entrant being downright cancelled and replaced with El Grande Americano, which should just be a free downloadable character, but whatever. I personally don't give a shit if I never have to see a basketball or American football player ever again in these games. I'd rather them add some wrestlers that missed the cutoff point. To be fair, every wrestling game fan wants this. But I guess they're expecting NBA or NFL fans to buy the game out of pure fandom. It's highly unlikely, but I don't have the access to those numbers, so who knows. Regardless, it can be a lot of fun with friends, and there's plenty enough to do when playing solo. I just find the core gameplay incredibly boring, and just can't recommend paying full price for this. So, long story even longer, get it a few months later with all the DLC at a big discount. Don't wait too long, because apparently 2K is delisting these games after 2 years. 2K22 and 2K23 are both taken off the store, so if you ever wanted to experience those games, you're out of luck. You can always get them physical, but in all honesty, let them rot away. They're not worth it. Thanks for watching all the way through this. Like and elbow drop that subscribe button. And I'm exhausted. But luckily this one is over with. Off to more positive experiences. And that, as they say, that will be all. Thank you!